Hello. There is a miniature collection out there that rivals even the hallowed halls of Warhammer World in Nottingham and the Foundry in Newark. Thousands upon thousands of models that chart not just the history of Citadel miniatures, but their fiercest rivals and long-lost competitors as well. For years, you have been able to explore that collection online at the Stuff of Legends, a website that has become an essential resource for students of Warhammer history and miniature collectors of every stripe. But now you can go one better, because a vast portion of that collection, some of its most magnificent models in their prettiest pictures, have been committed to paper in this spectacularly stunning book. It's got over 120 pages full of glorious goblins, heroic humans, and magnificent monsters, lovingly photographed and gorgeously presented. I'm Jordan, this is Jordan Sorcery, and today I'm exploring the Stuff of Legends. If you have watched any of my videos over the last few years, you will no doubt be familiar with the Stuff of Legends website already. It is an incredible resource that I have absolutely relied upon to help me build a picture of Warhammer's history. Founded in the mid-90s by Richard Orklord Hale, Stuff of Legends is more than just a website. It is an archive of Citadel miniatures history, as well as showcasing Hale's own extensive commission-painted collection of miniatures, many of which date back to the very beginning of Citadel and its rival miniature companies of the 70s and 80s. The site also features countless categorized adverts, catalogues, and flyers from the early years of Games Workshop history. The archive on the Stuff of Legends website is, I really do believe, an essential resource for Warhammer history. It is one of the best ways we have of preserving an understanding of Citadel miniatures, the things that they created when they were released, and as much of those ranges as we can possibly document. It's not the only example of that kind of repository online, but for my money, it's absolutely one of the best. Which was why, when I found out about this book, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I couldn't have been more excited. And then when I found out I was going to get a copy to take a look at, and one to give away, well, I was absolutely floored. I could not wait, and I just wanted to really dive in and find out what they had to share. At the end of this video, I'll be talking about how you can win a copy of the book for free, and I do want to make clear that this isn't a formal review of the book. I just don't think I can be sort of objective and dispassionate in the way that that would require. I'm just too close to it. I love the book, I love the website, I love the people behind this book. I'm just not able to create that distance to give that kind of critical assessment. But what I am going to do is go through the book and highlight some of the coolest bits, talk about what I think the book is attempting to do, and how successful I found it at doing that. It is, I think, a really magnificent tome, and there's a lot of treasures within it that just warrant looking at and poring over and spending time with. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Published by Shaggy Dog Publications, the same team behind the incredible Talking Miniatures interview book that featured amazing conversations with important figures from Games Workshop past, the Stuff of Legends book is an ode to the marvellous, quirky, inexplicable hobby of collecting miniatures, as well as a foreword by Rick Priestley. The book features commentary by Alan Merritt, one of the long-serving members of Brian Ansell's team at Citadel, who played a major role in the development of 40k, Warhammer, and Games Workshop as a whole. Pages in the book are dedicated to themes, be they giants or the Empire or orcs, and some of the larger sections spill over a number of different pages. Each of these different sections have been curated from Hale's own collection, and they are presented with some really wonderful, consistent, heavy metal style photography. They show off the finest models from Citadel, Minifigs, Asgard, Marauder, Ralpatha, and other miniature manufacturers, giving an insight into the industry's shared roots in fantasy literature and the explosion in ranges over time, going all the way up to 1992's Warhammer Fantasy 4th edition. I was talking with a friend recently who works in museum curation about the way in which collections are displayed and curated, the way in which they are designed to be interpreted by the viewers. And when I was first reading this book, I was flicking through it and I was just admiring the miniatures, taking a look at the amazing photography, the amazing models, and the amazing paint jobs, which by the way, are all credited, and I think that is fantastic. There wasn't a real sense of what I was seeing beyond the individual models. But then I went back to the beginning and really settled into the book and gave it a lot more time and just allowed myself to understand, or at least try and understand, try and interpret the way in which the book had been curated and the pieces in the collection and how they all fit together. And what I found here was something fantastic. There is a story being told that is at the same time intensely personal, but also offers a deeper understanding of the hobby as a whole. There is a delightfully insightful introduction from Hale himself that not only explains his own journey in building his magnificent collection, but that also tells the tale of the miniature hobby. We're provided with the context of the fantasy miniature industry. What companies were manufacturing which models, who was designing them, what sold well and what was short-lived. All of that context helps to make the Citadel story even more impactful. And as the book goes on to explore how the Citadel team were able to find their own niche and build their own market, we get an incredible story both before Warhammer and after it. The collections shown in each section are predominantly from Citadel miniatures, but not exclusively, allowing the reader to better understand the entire hobby's evolution. In a similar way, the book doesn't progress in a strictly chronological fashion. It doesn't begin at one specific time and end at another. It glides forwards and back, showcasing specific ranges or themes of models that may not all have been released at the exact same moment. Alan Merritt's commentary is peppered throughout all of this, offering even more context, detailing the sculptors who worked on models, and sharing anecdotes from the production of certain lines. I don't want to oversell this narrative history lesson aspect. It's not like you're getting a complete course in Citadel history, but in the best possible way, it is like visiting an art gallery with a learned friend who can share their knowledge in a lively, informal conversation. Keen-eyed observers may have noticed that there's actually a subtitle at the bottom of the front cover, Fantasy Miniatures of the Golden Age, and there is also a Volume 1 written there as well. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a Volume 2, whether that is science fiction miniatures of the Golden Age, or a continuation of the fantasy miniatures, or some combination of something else. But I really do hope that there is. Because if I have one criticism of this book, it's that it just kind of stops. You're reading through these sections, you're seeing all of these amazing miniatures, reading this amazing commentary, and then, because it's not written in a chronological format, you get to the end, turn the page, and it is kind of over. Which I suppose is not that bad a problem to have. I was enjoying this book so much. Every single page was so enjoyable that as I flicked over the last one and came to the back cover, I found myself wanting more. I wanted more of the pictures, more of the commentary, more of the story, because it is so fascinating and so lovingly reproduced. There is so much more to tell, and I just hope that that next volume does exist, because it isn't enough. It's fantastic. It's full of stuff, but I want more. Okay, I guess I will share one more criticism, although it's a warning more than anything else, I suppose. As I looked through this book, there was not a single page, and I'm being deadly serious, not a single page of the collection where I didn't immediately think, I need that model for myself. Armies I don't collect, ranges I wouldn't use, miniature manufacturers I don't have anything else from at all. In those moments, none of that mattered. So be wary, folks. When you read this book, you will almost certainly find yourself opening eBay and checking the availability of stuff like Grenadier Goblin War Giants and Citadel Gnomes and everything else that's in here, because it all looks amazing and you just won't be able to stop yourself. I'm told that museum curators typically write something called an interpretation plan when they're actually beginning the creation of a new exhibit. And that is designed to help them intentionally inform the viewers. The way in which they position artifacts, the selection of artifacts, the way in which certain ones are highlighted or contrasted or arranged alongside others, all of that is done deliberately in a way to help viewers understand what they're seeing, to leave the exhibit with a deeper understanding of the entirety of the collection and also the individual pieces within it. And that is something that I think this book does incredibly well. It chooses what to show and when to show it in a way that really helps to build a deeper understanding on a couple of different levels. For some folks, this will absolutely just be a beautiful coffee table photography book, but for me, and for many others, I think, this is so much more as well. The choices that have been made in what to show and when, how to combine and contrast ranges, when it's right to spotlight some big guys or some ancillary product that was important to the creation of that particular range. All of it serves to explain why these miniatures exist and where they sit in the wider context. But crucially, none of that ever takes away from the miniatures themselves. Every picture is glorious, showing off classic models in their finest fettle. Each miniature an army of inspiration unto itself. These are the most loved miniatures from a personal collection, arranged to tell a story, one about themselves and about the very people who collect and admire them. Merritt's commentary is so clearly filled with love for the models he's talking about, and pride in the work that the sculptors and Citadel did to bring them to life. The assortment of themes does an impressive job of covering the broad history of Citadel and its many ranges, making sure to call out important milestones, like the Warriors of Chaos and the Wizards and the Ogres. But thankfully, it doesn't overstretch itself. This is not an attempt to showcase literally every model Citadel has made, or every variation in a given range. Served up in a beautiful format that you can spend hours admiring, this is a highlight reel of great moments in miniature history, as shared by people who lived through them. I think that is actually one of the strengths of this book. It is not an attempt to log every single Citadel miniature that was released in the order in which it hit shelves. This is a curation, a selection from a personal collection, presented in an informal and enjoyable way. One that is supposed to help you enjoy looking at these models and marveling at how awesome they are, as well as telling the story of a single collector and how they built their collection and how that sits in the context of everything else that was out there at the time. As much as this is an incredible resource, just like the Stuff of Legends website, I think it stands apart from that. The website is a repository. It's an attempt to put its arms around the history of Citadel miniatures to document as much of that as possible. That's not what the book is trying to do. No, this is a passionate love letter to the greatest models that defined not just a golden age of miniatures, but also the lifelong journey of a single collector and their attempt to build an enduring, beautiful collection of models. One of the greatest things about this book is, I think, that it's an insight into one person's experience over decades in the hobby. It is an aspirational journey. It's the kind of story that we want to be able to tell as collectors, and we can see it to some extent fulfilled. It is an ode to the greatest models there have ever been, presented in their best possible way. I think that this is just a fantastic book to read. I had so much fun just going through it, looking at every page, looking at every miniature. Truly, it is stunning. And I'm so grateful that the time has been taken to catalogue this collection, not because it necessarily is a historical artifact, just because it deserves to be seen. These are amazing miniatures. This is an amazing collection. And spending time with it through this book, well, it was just a wonderful experience for me. I would like to thank Shaggy Dog Publications for sending me a couple of copies of this book. One so that I can make this video, and another that I can give away to my members at patreon.com/JordanSorcery. There is a free tier, so you don't have to pay anything to enter, and you'll get access to a sampler of some of the exclusive content that I publish over at Patreon. And in the paid tiers, you'll instantly get access to exclusive interviews, articles, and loads of Warhammer history. I hope that you check it out, I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you win, because I think everybody deserves to get a copy of this book, because it is fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jordan, and this is Jordan Sorcery.